And a debut today from an artist which, this is the funniest thing where I talk about, people are like, how did you find out about Hanni El Katib? And I said, well, I was sitting at the house and this commercial came on and I watched it and I thought, that's awesome. And then I saw it again and again. And so I'm like, okay, all right. So I got Shazam, I downloaded the Shazam app just to figure out who this was, and it popped up with you, and I was like, never heard of this guy before. Started going through and researching and finding tracks here and there. And when we were picking out bands for the show, it was like, who do you want to get? And you were like, first, after we get the headliner, you were one of the first bands where I'm like, we got to get him here. Tell me a little bit about, now is it just two-piece, right?
It's actually, today it'll be 4.
The 4?
I don't know, I kind of like change as I feel. It was 2 for a long time, and then it turned into a 3-piece. And then for this, I felt like doing 4.
Because you have, you put out a couple of singles here and there, and then you had the EP.
Yeah.
And is the album done?
Yeah, there is the album out, like a full album. I have a new album that I'm working on.
That's the one I was thinking about, because it's like,
I think that's what.
How, because let's see, you grew up in San Francisco and then to LA.
Yeah.
And how does it go around where, because when somebody asked me to describe what your music sounded like, I go, well, you know what? I go, there's this element of, like the Black Keys that I can hear in it. I hear some White Stripes, and I hear like this own individual thing coming in, and then I found out, how did you get hooked up with Dan Auerbach?
I met him at a bar in Paris. I was like playing records at some party or something after one of my shows out there, and he happened to go to the bar like that I was having the party at, and like I was playing the kind of stuff that he likes, and so we just started talking, and then from there we just started hanging out and just chatting or whatever, and he invited me to a studio to record, and then that kind of just turned into like him producing my next record.
What a dickhead story. You have that's the coolest story that it's like, how did you meet? We were at a bar in Paris, and I know,
it sounds like ridiculous, but it's just like, yeah.
And it seems like with you, the whole, like the progression of where you're headed is so natural. Like there's not somebody forcing it out there.
Well, I mean, it started like, I was working at a skate company, just like, I was designing skateboards and t-shirts and stuff, and I wanted to do something else like with my spare time, and I've always played music, but I never really thought to record it. So a friend of mine had a home studio, and he was like, you should just record in here like whenever you feel like it. And I was like, all right. So I did that. And then I started playing shows all over San Francisco, like, because a lot of my buddies would like have a bar or something and be like, oh, you want to play? And I'm just like, all right. And then after that, it turned into, I met the guys that run the label that I'm on, and they were like, oh, you want to put out a 7-inch or something? And I was like, sure. And then from that, it turned into like, all of a sudden, I looked up and I was like, whoa, I've just been on tour for a year straight.
Now,
I quit my job. Like, it was awesome. Like, one day, I was like, I can't take vacation for a month and a half. Like, that's impossible. You can't do that at work. And it's like, so then I was just like, maybe I'll just quit. And then, like, sure enough, just stayed on tour.
Now, how did you get to decide to cover You Rascal?
I was listening to like the Louis Armstrong version of it, and I've heard the song like a bunch before, but it's always been in like a big band kind of like up-tempo, like happy kind of sound. And then I never really listened to the lyrics, and then that's when I noticed, I was like, wait a minute, this is like about killing someone who's like sleeping with your wife.
Which, so this is Texas, so that is plausible.
Yeah, totally. So I was like, why is the music so happy? Like, that doesn't make any sense. So then I thought maybe it was a blues song, so I tried to look that up. And it turns out like there was no real like blues covers of it. So I don't know.
Now, who would you describe? Because if you listen to like a lot of the music you have out, like what influence do you pull in from? Because
I mean, I listen to all sorts of stuff, like the Cramps, the Sonics, whatever, like Rolling Stones, like, the Sabbath. I listen to a lot of Black Sabbath and Danzig and stuff. But it's not necessarily what I make, but that's what I listen to.
And we'll have to edit this part out, but there's a track that if you're in a relationship or a bad day, that you'll want to just, I listen to, I'll drive home, I'm so mad, because it's called Fuck It, You Win.
Yeah.
You gonna play that today?
Definitely.
Sweet. I'm really excited about your set here. I'm glad you're here, man. Because
Yeah,
it was
me
one of
too.
those where it's cool to bring in artists that start to kind of build something from. Because when I heard that song, and how did the song get in the commercial?
I don't know.
Did Black Keys help you out with that? Because they're pros at that stuff.
They are, but it came like through, like my guys at my label were like, "Hey, this is happening. Are you into it?" And I was like, "Sure." Captain Morgan's rum, sweet.
Because it used to be, everybody be like, "Oh, dude, you're selling out by putting your stuff in there." But then you realize now, songs, it gives you so much exposure.
Yeah, the way I look at it is like, all right, well, no one was playing me on the radio, and TV is kind of like the same format, basically.
And for the record, we are playing you on the radio.
Then thank you for that. Thank you for that.
But I'm looking forward to your set. Thank you for being here. Hanni El Katib, we will see him make his Buzzfest debut.